Yeah, you remember that last week, one of the quotes we read was, if you want to please everybody, then you might want to go sell ice cream as opposed to being a leader. Leadership is tough. It's one of the toughest jobs on earth you can do. And I love to say that only entrepreneurship is tougher because entrepreneurship entails leadership. Now, I thought about this list about 10 years ago. So it's not a new list. Yeah. And what was happening was that I was in my network marketing business and starting to develop people. Then I realized that these qualities or attributes were interfering with people's development. Yeah, somebody tries to build somebody until they are almost maybe growing and they feel like threatened, and then they start cutting their legs, so to speak, trying to sabotage their growth and asserting authority and looking for recognition. It's quite pathetic. Remember, there is the other book that other people love reading called The 48 Laws of Power by Machiavelli. Most of what you study there is just the opposite of what we are talking about. And so maybe just going through them one by one is insecurity will cause us not to have a legacy because we are going to kill everybody who wants to grow to either be our level or go beyond where we think we've reached. And it sabotages our own success as well, much as we think we are killing the other person so that we remain the tallest. You see, they say there are two ways to become the tallest tree. One is you cut all the other trees that are growing, so you remain the tallest. The other one is you just keep growing and doing your best. So a lot of people always think that there is limited opportunity, there are limited resources. And so for me to get, somebody has to lose. That mindset just cannot work with leadership. We must be people who love others to grow and replace us and become better than us. That is the way we see it in parenting. We want our children to grow and become better than us. And we don't feel insecure about that. And by the end of the day, we are happy and they are happy. That's the way it should be. Leadership and parenting are very closely intertwined. It's almost one and the same thing. Greed doesn't allow us, and this one will also go into answering what Maurice asked about. Greed doesn't allow us to say enough. It's called poverty of ambition. You always want more and more. And if you remember that analogy of how much can we consume, now you can imagine if somebody has bagged in maybe $1 billion, and you wonder, where do you want to use this? And you're not doing anything for charity. You're not doing anything that's going to help people. A couple of weeks ago, we discussed about this gentleman who had this type of ambition, building more and finding maybe this house is not making me happier, and demolishing to build a bigger one, buying newer cars, buying newer jets, but never found happiness, never felt fulfilled until when he joined the charity that would deliver wheelchairs to allow people to move around. So most times it's just that the same thing that Dr. Edo was talking about, we are looking for recognition in other things that will not give us fulfillment. And you'll realize that such people, maybe they are injured in some other ways, and so they are also looking for fulfillment in ways that don't really enrich. So we've got to know what greed is and what healthy ambition, healthy competitiveness is. It's not about grabbing everything that somebody else can have, but think about it. By the way, the other day we were talking about this. Yeah, that somebody, you are already in a gated estate, you have the security guards, you have the CCTV, you have electric fence and everything else. But guess what? When you call the chief or the DO for your meetings, what you are discussing is security. But on the other hand, the other side of the fence, the people there don't have the gates, don't have the electric fence, don't have the security guards, don't have everything else. But when they call the chief, for a meeting, they discuss food, not security. Something is not right, because we have enough for everybody. I'm not advocating for socialism, but if we give everyone else a chance to be all they can be, then we will have a much safer world. We do not have to have everything that exists. We just need enough to take care of our needs and the needs of others. And as we quoted from Alibaba, when we have more than we need, it's actually a trust in us. It's our stewardship that is required in appropriating this to be of benefit of others. So we've got to know greed is intense and selfish desire for something, power, wealth, whatever it is. You don't care about all the others. I see this more sometimes. It's very interesting. When you go to Bode Matatu, and more so maybe it's raining or whatever, everyone wants to be the one there. They don't care about the rest being out. Actually, if you are ingrained, if it is ingrained in you to be mindful of other people's welfare, you will always want other people to take the chance. And when we talk of pride, I learned that very few people can handle praise. Very few people on earth can handle praise. The moment people start praising you, giving you accolade, it gets into your head, and you start feeling like you are indispensable, you are the greatest. There is a story, I will not relate it, but which somebody was telling President, I think Abraham Lincoln. He was being told by somebody, I think one of his contemporaries, that you see now you are getting into this office and people are going to praise you. People are going to call you names. But you and I know that you are a nobody. There is nothing much you know that people don't know. We always need to remember that praise should not get into our heads. And that's why I love to say that most people learn on their way down. When things are not working, that is when they come back to their senses, like the prodigal son. They come back to their senses and start rediscovering, where did I go wrong? Something like that. So we need to be people, leaders who can handle praise, and we can also handle distress. I've seen people's characters being revealed when they are experiencing tough times. That is when they get irritated, emotional. They cannot handle tough times. And that is when they will do anything to destroy other people as long as they survive, because it is their survival that they take. And that is very, very sad, because it means if somebody would require your help, you'll not think about them, because it's all about you. So pride goes before fall, and pride, when it gets into our heads, things are going to be sad. Things are going to be terrible, because we are no longer leaders. We will just be people who are taking opportunity of the sheep that we lead and eat them. When we think of ignorance, I love to say that ignorance is the greatest liability of mankind. All pains that we suffer under the sun are related to our ignorance. If we do not know something, we are going to pay for it, either with money or with our skin. We're going to pay by feeling the pain for it. And all the decisions that we are making, some will relate to the level of knowledge that we have. And at times it puts us into very difficult situations, because you want to let people know or educate or share with people some knowledge, but because they're already fixed into a certain box, they feel like you're just opposed to their success. And God told us that people perish, my people perish due to lack of knowledge. We must seek knowledge. And I loved this the moment I started reading the Proverbs, which was my first book in the Bible in my very young age, probably before 10. And I learned that if we seek knowledge, we are going to be much safer. It's much better than wealth. By the way, wealth can destroy you when you're not yet built. And that's why people accumulate wealth and quickly lose it, because they say money can make you arrogant and stupid. That is where pride comes in. So, but the moment that before we mature mentally, if we get more than we can handle, we will waste it and it will destroy us. You can check the people who win lottery. Now, when we talk of selfishness, it's more or less close to greed, but we can also see it on its own as you only think of yourself and nobody else. And if we just start thinking that we are the king of the jungle and everything else belongs to us, this is why we see our MPs, the moment they are elected in, the first debate is their salaries, the loans, and everything else, because we really have very few leaders, if they exist. I am yet to know some of them. It's always about selfishness. It's me, me, and me. And that becomes a really sad situation of affairs. There is this issue of friendliness and being friends. It's good to know that even in parenting, you are not necessarily supposed to be this person who is always meeting every situation, every mistake with wrath. The same way we handle that, we can handle an office. Everything that we do has a consequence. There is something I recommend you people to go and watch or read. It's called 1 Minute Manager. You always need to have an understanding between you and your people. What is our task? What are our deliverables? If we don't do this, what is supposed to happen? That is it. You will never struggle because people will set their goals and then they also suggest for you what is supposed to happen. And that can happen even in parenting. When you agree with your children, this is the way we should do it. If you don't do this, what is the consequence? What should happen? And they suggest for you, and all you need is to keep your word. Yes, this is it. We agreed this is the way it should be. So they met their own consequences. And we should be people who also inspire results as opposed to pushing for results. We can find ways to make people want to do the things that they should do. Maurice asked about duration. Duration, how long should it take us to make a legacy? You can impact lives even if you are with people for just a month. Yeah, by the way, Jose, the Choge that we are talking about, was in that company, I think, for hardly 2 years, because he was in a different company. Then he went to that company not long ago. Now, what I've learned is, as we say in selling, first impression. The first time people meet you, they will make judgment about you. And then it's up to you to meet that, to prove that over time. Now, consistency. The moment people receive you and they learn about you as a particular person, you can prove that with consistency, even if it is 3 months, even if it is 1 year. And that's why we have saints who are just young people, but they are people whom we want to emulate. This is a big topic. I've realized we've gone beyond by 6 minutes. I'd like to stop it there. Maybe we will use it. We will recap it at some point a few weeks from now, like after 3 weeks or something, when after the break,